Welcome back to the latest episode of the Key and Mang audio experience. I'm Key, as always, joined by my fellow co-host Mang. How are you, Mang?
I'm good, Key. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this one. So today's episode, we have family medicine physician assistant and founder of Physician Assistants of Color, who's on a mission to diversify the PA profession, Jasmine Cofield. Jasmine, what's up?
Hi, thanks, Key. Hey, man.
So we'd like to open up with our guest giving a little backstory and tell a little bit about what got you to where you are today. So can you give us a little origin story?
Of course, thank you. So like you said, my name is Jasmine Cofield. I was born in New Jersey, but raised in Flint for practically my whole life. So I'm a Flintstone, Flint, Michigan. I went to an early college here in the city called Mott Middle College, early college. So it allowed high school students to dual enroll college credits while they were in high school and ultimately potentially earn a degree if they took enough credits. So I had known I wanted to be in medicine in high school. I think early on I knew the benefits of being, finding like, okay, healthcare security, I don't know what told me that, but I had already known that. So I knew medicine was going to be the way to go. And then at 15, at 30 sounds so old when you're 15. So I was talking to a counselor one day and I was like, I think I want to be a doctor, but I don't see myself being in school until I'm 30 because like my life is over at that point, right? Back then we thought everything would be together by 25. So she had introduced me to the profession, the PA field. So I did research that night. And like I said earlier, I was going to early college. So I practically started taking the college classes to be eligible for PA programs across the state. And I graduated high school. I got 3 college degrees from that program, 3 associate degrees. So that was a huge benefit. I went off to a university called Central Michigan University where I studied neuroscience and minor in psychology. Still, had my eyes set on PA. I love the fact that I was, it was 2 years after you get your bachelor's. You could switch specialties, without going back to residency if, you wanted to. The return of investment in terms of like what tuition was and then like the starting salary for the profession. It was just too good to be true, to be honest. So in undergrad, I knew what I wanted to do still. Didn't really have to like change much since I had so many credits in undergrad from high school. I really had opportunity to just, really take my time, focus on my classes, gather all my other prereqs to in order to get accepted. And then went off, applied when I graduated from university, went to Detroit Mercy for PA school, graduated 3 years later, and here I am now. I'm a year and a half in practice in Flint, Michigan, my hometown. Fun fact, my supervising physician, so PAs do have to practice under a physician assist. I'm sorry, let me rephrase. We do practice under the guidance of a supervising physician. However, sometimes depending on the setting, the specialty, the agreement you have with your supervising physician, you can very well just be on your own, managing your own patients, and then coordinating or corresponding with your supervising physician if you need guidance. So my supervising physician is actually like when I was growing up, he was my family doctor. So now he's my supervising physician. Although I do manage my own patients, all on my own, he is available for me, a phone call away, or I can text him if I need help with, a patient or his advice on how to go about something. So that's the really cool thing about the profession is it's very autonomous, believe it or not. The assistant name can be very misleading sometimes. But like I said, I see my own patients day to day, anywhere from 20 to 24 people. And yeah, my colleagues are around if I need them. And it's as, like I said, it's as autonomous or teamwork based as you you feel comfortable. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, about the PA profession.
Can you tell us a little bit about what separates a PA from from the other medical professional, from medical professions?
Absolutely. So I talk about this all the time. So I think the unique aspect about the PA profession is it was what the profession historically started off for the solution to the physician shortage. You know, after World War II, there was a lot of people in need of healthcare, and doctors being like the main medical provider just wasn't, meeting those demands. So the PA profession was created for. It started off for medics in the military to, okay, because they were doing, pretty much medical procedures, in the military anyway. So curriculum was created for, okay, additional 2 years for this. And now you can practice under the guidance of a doctor to help that provider out. The profession then evolved as providers. We started saying like, listen, we can create more access to care if PAs can do more, and it has evolved, especially in Michigan. Now, the how autonomous we can be can vary from state to state. In Michigan, it's very good. Like we can even own our own practice. You do have to have a doctor, um, um, like on staff to like supervise you, but I think the requirement is they have to come in the office once a month and then oversee at least 10% of your charts. So very, very minimal oversight. Um, but yeah, like as the profession is evolving, I think a lot of people are saying like medicine is an art, so the more time you spend in healthcare, you gain those skills and that knowledge. So um PAs, as we got to practice more and more in the medicine field, it we started to become autonomous. Now the beauty of this is it's very flexible. That's why I decided to become a PA, because like I said, I'm working in family medicine right now, but I do have a side job where I'm working in urgent care. And then now I'm currently transitioning into a psych position, strictly just mental health. So the beauty of that, from the vast difference from that with at least medical doctors, is if physicians wanted to change their specialty, let's say a cardiologist says, you know what, I want to go be a endocrinologist. I don't really know many people who have said that, but and this is probably why you can't go be an endocrinologist. You have to go back to residency and then, specialize in that specialty. So PAs don't have to. So if I don't like psych, in the next year or two, or I just want change, I can find a surgical position, and if I get the job now, I'm a surgical PA. So I think a lot of people like that time and that flexibility. The fact that, it's 2 to 3 years after graduating with your bachelor's degree, and then if you if you find out you really don't like, your job or your specialty, you have that ability to switch in that lateral mobility. And then, also other non-clinical jobs like teaching and behind um, the scenes, like administrative work and policy. So that's the beauty of that. In terms of nurse practitioners, so I kind of look at PAs and NPs the same way, on the same level. We're considered all advanced practice providers. The only difference between us and nurse practitioners, one, the state is going to vary. There's some states who may favor NPs more than PAs and vice versa. And then two, nurse practitioners have to have been a nurse before they become NPs. Where I work, we're all seeing this. We're all seeing the same. Doctors, PAs, and NPs. We all have our own schedule. We see the same amount of patients. So that's pretty much the biggest difference, is that time and then that lateral mobility, and flexibility.
When you're getting ready to switch settings, how do you prepare yourself? And like when you do switch settings, I know like you're kind of still like fresh out of school, like kind of in the early stages of your career, I would assume they would give you mentorship. But what if you're a PA practicing in like ortho for like a certain amount of years and then you want to switch? Do they give you the same type of mentorship when you switch settings?
So that would vary on the job. And then that will also vary on the provider. So I would hope a PA who has been in ortho for 10 years and want to switch into like, let's say psych. Well, first I would assume that preparation would be necessary. So possibly like doing a few workshops to network, doing a few like, just brushing up on materials, because the thing is you still have to get the job. You can be an ortho PA for 10 years and apply to a psych job, a psych PA job, but you still have to be able to sell your skills or sell yourself, because yeah, you're a PA, but the employer still have to feel confident based on their needs. So if an employer feels like they're able to train the PA to kind of shift into psych, then yeah. But if their needs are, we need somebody already with this experience, they'll probably go with somebody with the experience. But like make no mistake, there is, possibility. So I would assume that the employee would do the due diligence to brush up on the materials and start preparing to be in that specialty. So for me, I personally prepared. So it's kind of different. By me starting in family medicine, I see all of it. I see a lot of mental health anyway. So while I am transitioning, to me, it's like I'm basically just zeroing it in. It's not like I don't have experience with it at all. So now, and then, and plus I also minor in psychology. So I think that's also what sold my new employer, was the fact that I had at least the academic background. And then they're aware that family medicine does have a mental health component to it that would allow me to be, have a good level of expertise in that field for them to confidently hire me and know that I'm managing the patients well. But it's not like I said, it all depends on the employee. Because for me, like, I can literally work Monday through Friday in family medicine, and then I have a Saturday shift in the urgent care, and I gotta, like, you're still a PA, but you gotta kind of turn off the way you think, because it's two different fields of medicine. Family medicine is more chronic conditions, long term, finding solution. Urgent care is more so, okay, what do I need to do to get this patient stable or okay today, right now? What do they need in this moment? So it's a totally different shift.
So now that you're been in the field for a little bit, a year and a half, and when you were applying, is the field what you expected from when you were applying?
Absolutely not. So it was not. Medicine is definitely a huge haze, meaning like the learning curve once you graduate academically from your graduate program and start practicing, you just don't know a thing. You know what I'm saying? You don't know anything at all. All the stuff you were tested on. I remember my first day practicing. I looked up the treatment for chlamydia. And I knew it, I was tested on it many times in school, but it's just when you're when you're now like realizing, I had to have a lot of epiphanies my first year, like, wow, Jasmine, you are taking care of people. Like, their lives are in your hands. Like, you make them better, or you can't really have an off day with this line of work you're doing. So to answer your question, it not at all. It's a lot of mental Olympics. Medicine is a lot of decision making. And I don't know if you guys know about the concept of decision fatigue, but when you make a lot of decisions every day, it's just you can really get into a mental fog. So while I did get a career that's not as physical and laborious as, others, it's very mental. And you really have to keep a clear mind so you can practice safe medicine with your patients. In terms of what I feel is different, Personally for me, I got like I had a lot of advice that, oh, jobs will be knocking down your door and don't take a job less than six figures. PA should be starting off at 100,000 or less, 100,000 or, I mean, I'm sorry, 100,000 or more, 100,000 or more. And so that's what I looked for in a job. Like it had to be six figures, it had to be this, it had to be that. Um, and while I did meet that mark, once I started working, I realized my time was also important, like my work-life balance. When I first started, I really, really struggled with not taking work home. I had to bring a lot of work home. So I was doing notes up until 10, 11 p.m., going to bed, getting back up at 6. I'm trying to get back into my workout regimen. I'm trying to have every aspect of my life like just afloat. And it was just terrible, maybe 3 to 6 months into working. So I went to my employer and asked for 4-day weeks just so I can get another weekday to like handle anything I had going on, to get another day to catch up with charts. I still wanted my weekend. I didn't, I was using my weekends to get caught up with work. So it was just, I was too consumed. And the whole point of me doing PA instead of MD was to not be consumed with work. So that was the biggest lesson for me, was just realizing like money, like yes, money is a large factor of taking a job or why we pursue a certain career, but it was that balance, like that money at that moment, in those moments, didn't matter when I was like stressed out to even, you know what I'm saying, enjoy it the way I wanted to. So balance, work-life balance was so important to me. So I still work the 4-day weeks and it works out amazing. Like I would recommend it for that's what we should be moving to.
So do you do like 40 hours, like 410s?
Theoretically, yeah, we're supposed to, but I don't, just because of the nature of like what I was asking for. So I had a really good employer that just happened to work with me. So that it was usually usually that would be the case, but I was lucky enough to still kind of just work the 9 to 5, Tuesday through Friday. So that, I thought that Monday off is a huge game changer. Like I can really just slowly get into my week, and by day 2 of your work week, it's already Wednesday. So it's really good. And then it helped with travel too, because I used to do a lot of Friday night to Sunday evening round trips. So now not being stressed to get back and ready for work Monday morning is good too.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about the work-life balance and the mental fatigue from having to make decisions all day. How do you
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you take care of yourself and make sure that your mental's on point to make sure that you can deliver the best decisions for yourself and your people?
So for me, it's definitely planning my life out. I do little things like making a to-do list, and I put small stuff that I know I'm gonna get done without a doubt, like make my bed, um, call so and so, go to work. I know that sounds weird, but checking it off, it just makes me feel more motivated to check off the things that I truly have to do on my to-do list. Um, I am a big person that's big on reflecting. So if something is stressing me out, I'm very solution based. So I assess the situation, whatever's like, what's stressing me out, why is stressing me out, is there a solution to it? Is that solution doable for me? Once I do all of that, like I just get to working on whatever I need to do to fix whatever's causing my life to be in balance. My biggest source of what like motivates me is working out, definitely. I don't know about you guys, and y'all can tell me if I disagree, but I really think that health, working in family medicine in an underserved area, your health is directly tied to your social class. And I feel like as a PA who's advocating for my patients to be healthy, and the fact that I have the means to be healthy, there's no excuse for that. So I just started doing, I used to working out I feel good about myself after I work out, So I was somebody who I would be called like a weight yo-yoer up and down. And this has been an issue since I was like younger. So that is the biggest area for me where I like can really get my mental together is working out. So I'm excited that I just like laid out a plan for my apartment to make my own in-home gym, because as my life is getting more having other obligations, I don't have time, and that's what stresses me out when I have too many things to do in my day, and my physical health is impacted. So I'm excited about that. So that motivates me too. But overall, exercising and getting things done, feeling productive motivates me.
Yeah, I definitely
I
agree.
feel like I'm giving y'all answers like so y'all will see how I'm scatterbrained. I feel like I'm answering the question, but then adding so much stuff.
No, that's perfect.
I'm
That's perfect.
babbling.
That's good. No, but I definitely agree with the idea that, like, especially as, like, if you have the means to, like, invest into your health, you should. I feel like I get a lot of backlash for saying that if you're a healthcare provider, you should, like, work out. So I'm glad that you that you said that. I don't know if you
Yeah,
see it
no,
on Twitter, but
yeah, I definitely believe that. Like, I like, it's no excuse for me, because I see my patients who come in, who want to lose weight, and then when I give them a plan, they always ask me, okay, well, what time, and then with what money, or with what, my patients don't live in areas where you can run outside. Like, okay, if you don't have money to pay for a gym membership, usually people resort to running outside. Well, one, we live in Michigan, so it's not really, we get like 15 days of summer. But it's not really conditions where you can run, year round, or at least for most of the year. And then a lot of my patients, are factory workers. They come from bigger families, lower in, social economic status. So they really don't, they're right. Most of them have jobs where, they're required to work 6 days a week. And then the one day they have off, they're spending it with their 3 or 4 kids, or, resting, or, so when I see that, and I see the true barriers to people being able to maintain their physical health, and then like we don't have grocery stores. That's another impact. So when I see that, it's like, okay, Jasmine, you have the money, you have the resources, you have to just make the time. So when I started losing that time, I just had to modify and say, okay, I need a home gym, because the gyms near me, I would have to drive maybe 20 minutes out. So that required me to wake up, 3 to 4 hours before I should be waking up, so I could work out, come home, get ready for work. It just wasn't working out for me. So
And I feel like you just gotta once you figure out what works best for you, it just makes your life a whole lot easier. And then I think it also puts into perspective how you understand it's like you're like trying to solve the real cause of the problem, not the symptom of it. Like what you were talking about with your patients and stuff, like what are the barriers that are stopping them from not living healthier lives? And then how can we address that to help them have options to have better or healthier options?
absolutely. I mean, and I think that's the beauty and that's why diversity in medicine is so important, because more than likely when you have minority providers, you'll have people like myself who's been in that social economic status class. Like I've had the benefit of seeing both ends of it. Like I see how easy it is for the wealthy class to be healthy, because they make it easy. They put gyms below the apartments, the luxury apartments, or they put a Whole Food store in walking distance of nice neighborhoods, so that all that stuff is accessible. And affordability isn't a factor when you already have the money to pay for stuff like that. So I can relate, and I understand. So I do try to do my best to remix what they need to do to fit their lifestyle. But the unfortunate fact is it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's not really set up for people to be healthy the way that our economy is set up in these social structures.
Speaking of diversity in medicine, could we like switch gears and talk about physician assistants of color and what kind of got you interested in starting that, how it became a thing, and what it's looking like now?
Absolutely. So this is my baby. This is something that I in a million years never thought I'll have, because growing up, I had the realization, I mentioned earlier how I had the realization that healthcare was like, okay, that's a steady field, that's going to be secure. And then I also realized entrepreneurship was not for me. Like it was too much. Like you got to please everybody. You got to, until you get enough money, you got to play every role. So I knew it wasn't going to be something for me. And so it's so funny now that I'm in that. And but I like to say it fell in my lap. Um, so basically happened was, like I said, I knew I wanted to be since I was 15. So after attending Central Michigan University, I loved the university. It just was a PWI. So I'm like, you know what? I'm ready. Like this, this is a perfect time for me to get some change. I'm getting ready to apply to PA schools. Let me find programs that, have an affinity for minority students. And as I started researching, I was very, very disappointed in the lack thereof. I didn't really, I started my research by location. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Detroit has Black people, a lot of Black people. So, I would have, this is me at 18, 19, 20 thinking, well, the classes or the cohort or the programs should resemble the population. And I was so wrong. So I applied to programs, accepted Detroit Mercy's PA program. And for FYI, Detroit, Michigan is the blackest city in the country when you compare it to population and size. So it is the blackest city. So I was excited to start to the program. Well, while the program did have a lot of minority students, it wasn't a lot of Black students. And I was one of two out of 64, I want to say. 50, like late, like high 50s to low 60s was our class size for sure. And I was one of two. So it was a huge, huge disappointment. But I didn't let that stop me, because again, came from Central Michigan, so I was kind of used to that at that point. But what really shocked me, what really changed this all around for me, was when the second semester, I did pretty good the first semester. They always say, so PA school, so y'all know, PA school is described as a fire hydrant of information, because it's 2 years, right? My program was 3, it was part-time, luckily. But typically PA programs are 2 years, and the first year is all instruction in the classroom, and then the second year is clinical year. So you're getting 1 year of medicine like thrown at you. So depending on how your program is structured, you could very well have 18 exams in 1 week. And I'm not exaggerating. It's literally that crazy. So I survived the first semester. It wasn't that bad. The second semester I did not. My program had a policy where you couldn't get anything less than a B minus. I did, and I got dismissed for that. Now, like I told y'all, I've been telling y'all this whole podcast, this whole time. I knew I wanted to be a PA since I was 15. So I did everything to get to that point, starting at the age of 15. So I was prepared. I had a 4.0 GPA when I applied. I had all these volunteer hours. I had all these experiences. I've never felt a thing in my life. So going from never feeling anything to being dismissed from a program where you thought, your career was going to begin, it was very, very hard for me. And I had to, like I told y'all earlier, I reflect a lot. I don't play that. I reflect. When something goes wrong, I sit down and figure out if there's a solution. So after about being depressed for about 2 weeks, I was so depressed. I remember sitting in an apartment for like a week after hearing the news that I was going to be dismissed. My program then, like later on, emailed me and said I would have the option to appeal. So after about 2 weeks of sitting down and, getting everything in order to appeal, I was granted an acceptance back in about a month or two later, and then I was able to start back in January. So I had to sit out for about 8 months. Um, and during that 8 months, I reflected a lot. I'm like, okay, what went wrong? Like, Jasmine, how were you the only one who did not pass this course? Like everyone else did and you didn't. So a part of it was definitely me keeping quiet about me struggling in those exams. I did not inform anyone that I was struggling up until maybe 2 weeks before the semester ended. And that was because I was embarrassed. I already felt like people was going to assume that I was going to be the one to struggle anyway. So I felt like in my head, it was like, I'm proving them right. So I didn't really let anyone know. And when I finally did, they started studying with me, but at that point it was too late. So I said, okay, what are you going to do differently when you return? And a part of that was like, I'm going to find community and support. So if I am struggling again, I will have people in my corner that, I wouldn't feel judged by or embarrassed to let them know that I was struggling, because more than likely they are also, they can relate with me. And at the time I had knew maybe 2 or 3 other Black PA students on Instagram. So I put them all in like an Instagram group and asked them if they wanted to be in group me, so we can kind of like, vent and rely on each other, because they were all in, programs across the country. Everyone agreed, and the group just really started from there. It started off as a group me. It was growing. It started off for PA students who were actually in PA school, but then students who were trying to apply would see that I was in PA school and DM me questions, and I would help them. And then I would say, hey, just join this group so you can see more PA students also. And it just really grew from there. So that was back in like I want to say 2017. And then now it's 2022 and we have a LLC. So we do have a business side of it. And then we just became a nonprofit back in 2021, a very large program. We're recognized by a lot of PA programs who basically consult us to help their diversity efforts in their own PA programs. We have to date, maybe we've probably helped 300 minority students in PA school. We host events around the country. Before the pandemic, it was great. Like we would host maybe 1 or 2 a year in big cities, and programs will come. Students will fly in, and we will all just network and connect and just try to bridge that gap so more students could feel confident in applying and ultimately getting accepted into PA school. So yeah, it's very diverse. Our nonprofit is very successful. I'd even argue it's the largest diversity group for PAs. There's a few others, but we're pretty much the active ones. But there's other resources too for minority students.
Congrats. You're good. Congrats. No, that's big. That's real big. How do you feel like I know you mentioned a little bit about it was just the group of you guys to start it and to watch what it's turned into, what it's evolved into. How does that make you feel when you reflect back on it now?
Oh my goodness. It's a 1 second. All right. So how I feel about what I see the group is now, oh my goodness, it's a good problem. So back when I first started, oh my goodness, I was on it. I knew where each member was from, their story. If they were in PA school, I knew what PA school they were in. I knew what specialty they were going into. I knew their name. And then now we're like at 8,000 members. So a lot of people, I feel bad, they'll come up to me and say, you did a mock with me 2 months ago. And I would just, I would be so embarrassed because I don't remember between my clients in the pack and then my patients. I see so many faces and names and talk to so many people every day. So I feel bad that I don't have the bandwidth to engage as much as I used to, but it's still a great community to be a part of. I still give my all to whoever seeks our services. I may not remember exactly what you told me, but I'll remember you. So like I said, we're overwhelmed, but it's a good feeling. It's a good issue. Seeing us grow like that definitely just taught me stay the course when you have a genuine purpose or a passion for something. Those 8,000 members wasn't over time, and that came from passion work. DMing anyone I knew. I remember on Instagram, if I saw you were in PA school or anything related to PA, I would be messaging you, letting you know about my community and just letting it grow itself. So now it's very self-sufficient. So that's the beauty of it. I don't have much time to be in the group like I used to, but I feel like the work we put in the beginning laid such a strong foundation that it pretty much runs itself. So that's one thing I am proud of. And I think that's kind of, the biggest takeaway from that was just if you stick to your foundation reason why you started something, it's gonna flow. It's gonna follow. People are gonna follow. People are gonna be able to tell when you're genuine. So yeah.
What are some roadblocks you experienced to get to this point with the pack?
For us, definitely time. I really feel like God has been looking out for us because the events that we've thrown, um, we haven't put much money into it at all. Now we don't take anything from it. All the money that we profit gets funneled back into scholarships for those members that's in the community. So the biggest roadblock surprisingly has just been time. Me and my two other co-founders we call business partners. We're all practicing PAs. And all of us have more than one job. So I have one co-founder. Her name is Minerva Lobe. She's practicing in family medicine, and she's a professor at a PA program. And this is her first year practicing, or she's 2 years into practice as well. And then my other business partner, Samora Charles, she's a surgical PA, but she does ER medicine on the side, and then she also teaches at University of Pittsburgh. So the pack, how large our community is, it should be a full-time job. But since we don't take any money from it, and the money it generates goes back to the students anyway, it's really we got to just find a way to let that fit in our schedules. So to be able to do this for 5 years with really no monetary incentive, that's all passion and just the fact that you want to see this diversity in medicine. And I think in turn God has saw that and blessed with we not really us not really having to put too much money into things. Like there's been like I said, I throw events across the country. There's been times where the venue would just give it to us for free or $800, and we're having like 100 students and 100 people come and giving us a venue for free to hold 100 people. I feel like that's nothing but people seeing the vision and wanting to support us. So not really many roadblocks, just accept the fact we need more time.
And now my question, now that it's grown up to you got 8,000 members in the pack and the profession is it's still growing, like a lot of healthcare is continuing to grow and evolve. Why is it important in your eyes for the healthcare field to be more diverse?
It's definitely important for me because our our providers should look like the communities we serve. There's been numerous research that has found that minority providers are more likely to work in their own communities, so like me. So patients therefore can identify with their provider and more than likely will, either trust their recommendations or what we call compliant, and that just ultimately leads to better health outcomes. I can't tell you how many people how many of my patients tell me I'm the first one that have listened to them. And it breaks my heart because I'm a newbie in this field. And, when they're 66 saying this, I just wonder like what's been happening these past 50 years. So it's important for me because we should reflect that. And more importantly, I'm really all about education equity. You know, minorities, we belong in fields that create access to the social classes that we've historically been denied from. And the PA profession is a profession that I feel can change the trajectory of a lot of people, and when that isn't accessible to our students and our people of color, then I don't think that's fair at all. So I'm all about creating that access, raising awareness that PAs is a great healthcare option for anyone pursuing, and really so for the betterment of our communities, better health outcomes. And it just makes sense, like I read that we're going to be so diverse, and we're still only 4% minority in PA. So I want that to reflect our communities.
No, I feel that because I know for like in PT, it's like 4%, 5% black, right? And but when I look at it, you're like you come out making 75, 65, 75K, but you 180, 200K in debt. And I'm like, that don't really seem like a good like
Yeah.
it's not a math's not mathing on that. But with PA school, you're looking at your I'm finishing your undergrad and then 2 more years, and you can come out making, like you mentioned, six figures off the top.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, automatically. Like unless you, I don't know many people who had anything under 100,000. Actually, the way cost of living is starting, it's more than 100. You can negotiate for higher. Now, I'm not saying every employer is going to say yes, but that is the beauty about being a PA is you can just apply to another job that will pay that amount. So for me, yeah, starting off 110, 115, and then coming out 100, having like 100K in debt, that is, it is to me a good return of investment. And then you can, like I said, you have the flexibility. Like if I want some shoes, I can just go work at the urgent care for a day and get about $600, So
No, I definitely think that's a great return on investment.
yeah.
Um, with your like, I guess with like switching jobs, I think millennials in general, like right now, like we're just like into just switching jobs. Like we don't really have like a loyalty factor, and I think that's fine. But is that looked down upon in the PA profession?
I mean, I think it can either or, some people don't mind quitting a job a year or two. So don't get me wrong. I think there's merit in staying at a job, like I think some people, it all depends on job outlook too, because I'm not trying to shade any fields, but okay, so for example, my goal for me, okay, let me rephrase this. Sorry, I hope y'all edit this stuff. Okay, so let me rephrase this. Let me go back. I think people need to look at their own job outlook. So, for example, the average PA salary is anywhere from 100 grand to, let's say, 140, right? Leaving a job every 2 years because I think I'm gonna get it to 280 a year, that's just silly, So I'm never going to, like, there is merit in staying with a company. And then, like, as you get older, you start thinking about other stuff like benefits and 401k. I'm not about to keep leaving a job not being insured for 3 months, or not being insured and then find another job, waiting for my benefits to kick in. That's just too much. It's too much for me. I say leave if it makes sense. For me, this next opportunity I have, it just makes beautiful sense. The package, the pay, the compensation, the schedule, it's just a better job. Like like I'm just leaving because I've been 2 years here and it's my time to go so I can get more money. That's not always the case. So PAs, everyone's gonna have their own reasons on why they leave a different job. If it was me, if I kept leaving a lot of jobs, I would just tailor my resume to whatever job I'm applying for. So if I'm applying for I don't know, a dermatology position, I'll probably put all my relevant jobs on there so it doesn't look that bad. But I mean, I think that is the nature of the career. So it wouldn't throw a lot of people off that they had a lot of jobs. So, and then a lot of employers too, especially with providers, since it takes so long to get credentialed and starting practicing and signed up with insurances and stuff like that. A lot of jobs will have like something in there where like you either have to work a year or you have to at least give them a 90-day advance notice. Some places will have at will, but those are typically like urgent cares and stuff like that because you can just work, but for the most part, yeah, I just say do it with, that's in general, do it with some tact and with some intent. Like, people shouldn't be leaving a job every 2 years because they think they're going to get paid more and more and more eventually to the six figures. If your field or if your line of work doesn't have that trajectory, then you're just leaving jobs for nothing.
Do you have other, like, now that you're getting your feet wet and now that career's starting to line up the way you're looking at it, what are some of your financial goals that you're trying to accomplish?
So the biggest one is really tapping into like grant writing and getting more grants for like our nonprofit to manage that. But in terms of personal finance, it was getting a house this year, but the housing market is just not suitable for me right now, especially when I don't necessarily need a house. This year was all about learning how to like maximize on taxes and stuff like that, because I do get a lot of taxes taken out now. So when you come from a place where your checks used to, now the taxes taken out are larger than the checks I used to get. So learning, like shifting that mindset and not falling into lifestyle creep has been some goals for me personally. But I'm a big saver. I like saving money. Like I said, anything that makes me feel productive, it just keeps me motivated. So saving money and seeing that, I think it takes a lot of discipline and dedication to be able to save. So I wanted to get an emergency fund for $10,000. I met that goal. I max out my Roth IRA every year. So it's 6,000. So I reached that goal. And then my 401k, I don't do the maximum contribution. I'm not there yet to contribute that much. But I don't know. I think next year my goals are shifting. So I'm not going to max out my Roth next year because I'm going to use that money to get the home gym. So that's funny. So I made that decision. It was an easy decision to make because the stock markets aren't doing good right now. Like I have less money in my Roth than I contributed. So like not only did I lost my earnings, I've also lost like my contributions. I'm not stressed out because by me only being 28, I know the market will correct itself later. So next year I'm doing it a little differently. I'm not focusing so much on long-term investments because I think my 401k is going to be okay, and then I have that emergency fund, and like I said, I've had my Roth for about 4 years. So that's funded pretty well. So between my Roth and my emergency savings, I'm gonna just put that on ice for next year and just have that in case I come across something bizarre, which I hope not. But in terms of my 401k, I'm gonna decrease my contributions because next year I'm gonna focus more on more active investments. Like I'm getting back into the stock market and then enjoying my money. So that's so it's funny. It's funny y'all ask me this question because I just made this shift, this mind shift maybe like 2 weeks ago. Like, you know what? I'm about to just I feel like I have enough money stacked to where it will grow anyway. I'm still invested in my 401k. I have my emergency fund set. So I'm about to start putting less into my retirement, still putting money in to get that employer match. But I'm gonna, lay off on the Roth first because it's still doing bad right now, and then just kind of spend that money. Because the whole point of making it too is spend it so you can spend it.
Hey, look, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad
Yeah.
at you.
So I said I'm gonna get my life together. So I'm gonna buy the home gym. So you be proud of me, Key. I'm getting the Peloton. I think I'm gonna get the Peloton tread and the bike. And they have like the strength guide thing. So I'm gonna get all three of those for my gym and then just kind of alternate so my knees aren't so bad.
I like that. I like that. Definitely. I have 60-day access to the Peloton app, but I refuse to buy the bike.
You
So
do?
yeah, I have like a free trial right now. I'm actually gonna
Yeah.
start it tomorrow.
Yeah, I am gonna wait to see. I priced it out already. So like I said, the total amount, I'm like, that's how much I put in a Roth for the year. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do the Roth anyway. Yeah, as I said, I'm not gonna do the Roth. And if I come across some extra money, maybe I will. But I'm not rushing to contribute anymore to that until I see the stock market improve.
You seem like you have a like solid knowledge base on finances. Was like money and like finances something your family was like open talking about at a young age?
No, actually, he'll be so mad if I told his business, but he's not gonna hear this anyway. But so actually, I really got into finances because the major difference between my mom and my dad, and and like I said, I told y'all I'm an observer. I like to reflect a lot. I really like to think about stuff. So growing up, I watched my dad. He was a six-figure earner. He lucked up and got like he worked for Anheuser-Busch in New Jersey, and it paid great. Like he was back in that it was back in that time where like he was grandfathered into some really really good benefits. So he had six figures, but he never had money. Never had money. So he taught me that if you don't use your money right or spend your money right, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you can blow it and still have nothing at the end of the day. And my mom was the complete opposite. I think my mom just now starting to make maybe 17 an hour. And my mom can get anything she wants. Credit wise, cash wise. She saves so well. She's very responsible. So I feel like I've been fortunate enough to have like a mixture of both. You know, I do think people should enjoy the finer things in life if they can, afford it, or, splurge here and there if you can afford it or if it's doable. Because I think a lot of people in my position who comes from, practically being poor to making a lot of money, you either go to one or two ways, like spending it all and not knowing how to manage it, or hoarding it all because you're scared to lose it because you're not used to it. And it's like, okay, being broke or not enjoying life, like which one are you going to do? Because there's no point in you having all this money if like I always tell people all the time, like unless you're like you're in the business with cartel, there's no reason why you should have you like saving up $60,000 in cash for what? What are you possibly doing with it? You should be actively investing it or moving it around so it can make you more money, but letting it sit, it's losing value sitting. So And then you don't even have nothing fun to. I tease my boyfriend all the time because he's like this. He's the complete opposite. He save. And one day he was like, "Yeah, I saved my money." I said, "Yeah, but you don't have any pictures from last year. You didn't do anything last year. You didn't, like, so what?" So so yeah, I always talk about him all the time. But yeah, that was the biggest comfort for me, was like watching, okay, you can make a lot of money and still be broke. And then if you're disciplined enough, you can have money. Or if you don't have the money, you can at least have the credit history with lenders to, if she wants something that's a large amount, she would just go get either a loan or spend on her credit card, which, she has limits up to, she has credit card limits that's probably more than her salary, a year. So I really admired that about her, was just being able to like manage, and she has her own home. She pretty much she does everything by the book. So I saw that. So when I started getting into finance, was maybe in PA school for sure. I was actually investing my refund checks. So I knew I had to learn more about what to do with it if I was going to be playing with all, not playing, but like moving and working with all this money. And I got connected with a financial advisor, and I let him know my story. I was like, "Hey, I have all this money saved up." At the point I had a good amount in cash that I needed to, like, I said, I know it's not, because at the time I had about, I want to say like 50,000 in my saving, and that was dumb. That was dumb. Now looking back, it was dumb. I had about 50,000 saved up from like refund checks, jobs, all in PA school. I didn't really have bills, so that was a big game changer for me. I didn't get a car note until I was about 24, and I didn't start paying rent until I was about 26, and I'm 28. So it's only been like 2 years. So in my mind, it said, okay, Jasmine, you don't have all these bills, so that bill money should be going in your, like, saving up. So I saved all this money up, and then as I started to see how much money I was getting from interest, it was like only like $3, $4, and it's like I had to realize again, like, bro, these banks have all my money, making money off of it, and I'm making $4 a month, $3 a month. So I hired a financial advisor, and I told him my story. Mind you, I didn't have a job. I mean, I did have a job, but it wasn't like a salary job offering me benefits and stuff. So I said, I want to save some of it, but I want to invest some of it. What should I get? So he didn't educate me on any other like vehicles. He sold me like life insurance, basically. So I had life insurance for about 8 months. I was paying $100 a month on it, $100 a month on it. And then one day I read into it, and I was like, there's other things I could have done with this money. Like, there's other things I could have put into this money. And then I was like, why did he tell me life insurance was the best way to go? And then I saw that he would benefit from it. And I said, you know what, Jasmine, no one is ever going to love your money more than you. No one's ever going to like do what's best for your money more than you. So if you want to move your money, you gotta learn on your own. Like, no one's going to do like, and that's the motto I took. I know everyone doesn't follow that or doesn't agree with that, but I mean, you also hear stories like what was his name, Steve Harvey, getting millions stole from under his nose. So I just told myself I would never go into any lion's den without having a lick of knowledge about anything, because you never know. You never know if people will tell you something or sell you something because it benefits them also. Because I don't think life insurance is a bad investment, but he didn't tell me about the Roth IRA, or he didn't tell me about, investments that I could have put at least $2,000, $3,000 in. So once I learned about the Roth IRA, I was like, you know what, you got to just learn everything on your own. And then, yeah, you can ask for help and advice, but you still need to have some type of knowledge or surface level ability. Because I think that's another part too. That's why talking about finances is so sensitive, because people who are experts in the field can sense when someone doesn't know what they're talking about. And I feel like they are, they kind of prey on that. So, and I'm only gathering that because when they see that I know what I'm talking about, they kind of like back off. And it's like, why? the person you should be wanting to work with then. You know what I'm saying? So that's always a red flag to me. But yeah, that's really how I got into the finances, watching my parents and how different lifestyles they had despite their income. And then I wouldn't call it being burned by him because life insurance isn't bad, but just seeing that only person that's got the best interest at heart of your money is you.
Yeah, you took ownership of your situation essentially and just had to make the best decision for you and what your goals are and what your future plans are.
Yeah.
Quick question. What were some of the resources or people that you learned from when you were trying to learn more about your finances, whether it's YouTube you or
So
books or podcasts?
I love books. So actually, let me see. I read a lot. I read a lot. I think that a lot of y'all gonna think I'm so weird after this. I think a lot of people know that a lot of the average person don't like to read. So I think the biggest now all the knowledge is really in the book in books. Um and yeah, I don't know if that just goes back to like our roots of like how, you know, we weren't really taught to read, but I don't know, it's so cliche, right? But I love reading in podcasts. So this is the book that I just finished. It's called Broke Millennial Takes on Everything. It's by Erin Laurie. And then I have her two other books. Broke Millennial Talks Money, and then Broke Millennial like Stop Scraping By and Getting Your Financial Life Together. So I like her book because she explains it. A lot of issues with finance education is a lot of people use jargon. They know they're talking to beginners, but then don't use like layman terms or try to relate concepts to like day-to-day stuff so people can kind of like, you know, understand it better. I think it's purposely complicated. So these books simplify like finances so you can start at least having conversation and start learning so you can make your own decisions on what works best for you. So those are so her books. And then I like this podcast called So Money by Farnoosh. So she's a really, really good podcaster. I love them because they're so short. um, and you know, you just get your little nuggets for the day and be on your way. And then there's another book that I have. I know it's so many. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm reading this one now. So this is called Your Future Paycheck and Raises. So I bought this book literally this week because I told y'all earlier today that I was moving away from my long-term investments just temporarily until the stock market corrects itself. But so now I'm going to actively move it back into the stocks. I had stopped before the election because I didn't know how it was going to go. But I'm ready to get back, especially now that I'm on this whole spend your money, enjoy your money, move your money. But this book, this is really good. Stock investing for beginners. This is a book that I had for years and I never opened until like 2 weeks ago. Finished this book and I was like, this is so good. I bought his second book. Now this book now is a very easy read, very thin, and he explains like finances very, very well. So if I had to advise or recommend, I would go with these two first before I went with Erin Laurie because hers are a little heavier. Yeah. So books and podcasts.
Nah, that's what we like too. Mang and I are always recommending books. I think Mang finished. What's the book we're reading? The Psychology of Money. Is that what it's called? Mang.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm reading that
So,
now. I think Mang finished it. That was
awesome.
good.
It's good. So
Yeah.
what was your biggest takeaway?
I'm not done with it, but it gives you like short stories on like how people view money.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got through the first two. Man could give you his takeaways, so I'm not done with the book yet.
Yeah, I think it was my biggest takeaway is that everybody's situation is different and you gotta be ready to adjust based on whatever situation comes at you. But you really just gotta take kind of like I said earlier, gotta take ownership of whatever situation you're in and what you're trying to create, and then use that to like reverse engineer how you're going to get to your accomplishing your goals.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Yeah. The cycle of money is it's I had to realize too when you come from like I said like what would you consider like a poor class to like I would say I wouldn't even call it middle class shit. I would say just high low class or maybe low middle class. And you do have to look at your money differently. Sometimes I have to catch myself when I say, "Oh, only $200," and it's like, Jasmine, $200 is a lot of money. Like that, like yeah, you're saying only because it's for you it's a drop in the bucket, but for other people they have to really think about that. You know what I'm saying? So, I also learned that like the environment you're in. So, um, if you're trying to save money or like not spend it a lot of people have to I've learned like you gotta take yourself out the environment, like the certain friends you hang with. If you got drinking buddies, you can't hang with them because you're more likely going to spend that money when you guys go out. Like taking yourself out that environment that will cause you to spend the money is what I also learned too.
That's the same thing with like when I'm really trying to eat clean, like I just take it out of my environment. It's like the
Yeah,
easiest way to do it. I feel like
that's
it's harder to do it with finances though, because I don't know, like it's like you could do that for like 2 weeks and then like your friends are like, yo, where you at? And like, I feel like I struggle with that, but I'm about to go into stack season. So my
yeah,
friends is
yeah.
hearing this.
Yeah, I budget a lot. So I always like I know my bills for February already. I have this like little Excel sheet. I make one for every month. It's I my bills that are constant, like my car note, rent, things that don't change, those are automatically populated in since I'm on salary, I pretty much know how much I'm going to pay that month. I don't really put my side incomes in that budget sheet because I kind of want to use that strictly for extra stuff. So, I'm able to see what I can afford before I even go do it. So if I have a big bill coming up in December, like Christmas, for example, I know I'm not going to be going out or traveling as much because then I'm like, I'm overspending. So that's my biggest thing is I make sure I don't overspend. But the problem is with budgeting, but a lot of financial experts don't acknowledge. I know they know it. They don't acknowledge is the people they're talking to don't have like finance talk outside of like budgeting. Finance talk is null and void if you're talking to an audience who don't have discretionary income. And the way these jobs are paying little to nothing and the way the cost of living is going up, everyone is already starting off in the negatives. You know what I'm saying? Like for the month. And they don't realize it because they're paying, one bill 1 week, another bill 2 weeks later, another bill. They don't realize it. So I'm able to see how much my bills cost me each month because I pay everything on the first of the month. And then I know how much money I have to work with for that rest of that month. And it really opens your eyes to how much you can spend if you don't keep your eye on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest issue is like people got to make more money, and it's not on the people, right? It's not the person's fault. These jobs need to be held accountable to pay people so they can budget and invest and have money to enjoy like that we starting to treat that as like a luxury, and it's like it shouldn't be. It should be like an automatic thing.
What do you think the solution to that is? Like, do you just think you should just keep increasing like you see like a minimum wage increasing? I feel like that's
Yeah,
not the
I don't
solution
think
to it though.
yeah, I don't think that's the solution. I think higher pay and like we need to kind of contest work environment and work culture. Because I think a lot of people, like for me, I wouldn't mind working a full-time job if I worked 4 days a week and had a day and a half, let's say a day and a half to kind of work on other passion projects. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, my patients, when they come to me and they like, you can tell they want work off. I don't even feel bad for them because they've been working 6 days this week. If you work your employees like a dog, they're going to be more than likely not wanting to come to work. And I feel like these jobs, like the Department of Labor, Whatever they need, we need to hold them more accountable. I think we focus a lot on student loan relief, and in my opinion, that doesn't really change a lot of people's lives because a lot of people who needed it wasn't paying it anyway. So it's like that's not putting money back in your pocket. That's not, it's just not requiring you to pay money you weren't paying anyway. But it's not really changing anything in my opinion. And I was afraid that it's going to actually slow down anything else from progression because it's like they're gonna hold on to the student debt relief, this 20,000 for the next decade. Like, what else do y'all want? We gave y'all 20,000. So I'm afraid I don't have a solution. I don't know. I think we need to put more pressure on these employers to give us either less work hours or more pay.
I agree with the less work hours. I feel like the same amount of work could be completed in less time.
Oh
Like the
yeah,
80-20 rule.
and you can do your own. Like everybody going into like side hustles, but I'm just saying, let people get their mind right. If you give them a day off to read, catch up on, TV, have their own doctor's appointments, a mental health day, like you will have better employees who will stay longer, and you'll make your money. So I don't know, but I agree with you. Less work days for sure.
I have one last question. I've been talking for a minute. So I follow you on Twitter and stuff, and like I love how like you just tweet, like you talk your shit, and
Yeah, man.
I feel like it's hard being in healthcare, having a social media, expecting to be like you're expected to be presented a certain way. How do you like maintain that? Because like I say what I want on my Twitter,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's hard to do that. Like, how do you maintain that?
So I will say, like, only thing I can be is me. If I feel like I don't think I say anything outrageous to the point where it's concerning of a provider, or at least I try not to. But I'm a firm believer. Listen, if you can't, it's not a work environment for me. Then if it's not viewed as professionalism, like I spent too many of my college career fitting and conforming into a space, to be comfortable, and I was uncomfortable, right? And it just didn't work for me. I like being at places where I can freely be myself, not have to worry about being judged. And then how I maintain it is really like just seeing the response to it. People are very receptive to when you're relatable, or they feel like you're cool and laid back. Now, for a minute, I used to be insecure because I'm like, I wonder if people taking me seriously though. Like, will they know like when I'm at work, I don't play. Like, I'm a really good provider. But it hasn't really stopped anything. Like people on Twitter still DM me asking for advice. So I appreciate that. It actually helps me reaffirm that, okay, like despite me being, I like to call myself like I'm from Flint. I'm from Flint. I grew up fighting. I grew up, doing all the what you would call like the Flint hood rat stuff, right? I did all that, but like I knew like long term, I still had tunnel vision. I still knew what I was gonna do. And I stay true to that. And I don't think, for me, it's like I'm in this phase of my life where I'm making my own lane, and if you fit in it, you fit in it. If you don't, I'm not worried about it. Like I'm not about to try to fit into yours or make you comfortable. So yeah, a lot of people are more receptive to it than you think. And then also too, now that I'm around more of my colleagues who are like my non like black colleagues, they're also themselves too, like they get to freely do what they want and how they want. So it's like, why not me? So
Yeah, I agree. I like that. I just think I hate the word like professionalism and like how like you
yeah,
just presented. You're supposed to be a certain way, so I just like I
yeah,
just like
like that
rebel
goes at the
against it.
core. Like I wear Yeezys to work. I wear like Jordans to work. I wear like joggers. I don't wear my white coats when I see my patients. Like how I look and how I dress I change my hair every week. It confuses some of my coworkers, my patients too. I don't care. This is a Black experience in medical care, and that's what it is for me. Like professionalism, like don't get me wrong, I'm still, acting with I'm with tact in the workplace and things like that, but like I'm redefining it for myself. I only focus on my patients. Like my patients don't comment on what I have on or how my hair is. They care about their care. And like I said, I've plenty of times I've heard patients say I'm the first one to do something. And it hurts my heart, but I don't think that has nothing to do with how I look or how I dress, how I talk. If anything, it makes them more it makes them feel safer.
Because somebody's taking the time to be themselves and encouraging them to be themselves as well.
Yeah, it's really cool. We get to have girl talk. My patients come in. It's a vent. People don't know, man. Venting is a medicine. Being able to get off your chest. Like, so a lot of my patients come in. Half the time, we'll talk about their medicine, their medical stuff, and then go into like their personal. Like, okay, so did you ever figure this out? So it's a good time. I like getting to know my patients for sure.
I love that. My last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've given us a lot today.
I
What
know.
would
I'm
you say?
sorry. Please
It's
edit it
no,
out.
no, no. It's been fantastic. Been fantastic. One to two things that you want listeners to take away from this conversation today.
The biggest thing I want people to get into is what I'm seeing right now, and I'm a victim of it too. I'm guilty of it too. I think now that we have like TikTok and Instagram Reels and Twitter, social media of information, like I think we're so used to it coming at us in 2 minutes, right? Like I'm always looking for that recipe that's the shortest video. So I get it, but also understand that you need to find balance in merit, and there is merit in things that are long term. So go back to school and get that degree. If it's so what, it's 4 years. 4 years going to go by regardless. So why not use it pursuing a goal? So stay in the course and sticking to something you set out, even if the goal is longer than a year. You know, um, and also let me see another one. Putting yourself first, reflect more. I think people should reflect more. They should definitely sit down. I think that's when I'm able to reflect, that's when I hold myself the most accountable, that's when I'm able to I've come out of reflections apologizing to people like, dang, you know what? That was wrong that I said that, or dang, I'm realizing that I see what she meant with this. So let me go back and communicate that to her. So a lot of, reflections, and then stay in the course.
Y'all heard Jasmine. Y'all heard. Hey, look long term and stay the course.
Yeah.
Jasmine, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or have questions
Of
about you?
course. So I'm on Twitter. I'll be on Twitter. It always is Instagram, but Twitter is Jaymonet, JAYEMONET. And then Instagram is Jay the PA. So JAYE.THEPA. And then from there you'll see all our pack Instagram accounts and things like that. And my website is physicianassistantesofcolor.org. So yeah.
And we'll link all those in the show notes so people can get to those when this episode drops.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we want to just thank you for coming on and spending some of your Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. This was great. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.